Hello and welcome everybody to today's video. It's open lobbies today, so none of the usual suspects. And usually the open lobbies are a little bit more tricky to drive. You never really know what you're going to get. You can see we missed the qualifying here. We're going with the standard setup. Not the fastest, but it is a swimming pool out there right now with the wet conditions. So the standard setup is quite stable, and it can work well in these race conditions when everything's completely soaked. Obviously, a dedicated grain setup for Germany would be a little quicker, but you make do with what you have. We're starting near the back of the grid here in a Ferrari, not my usual choice. It's just not the favorite car for me on the grid. And here we go with 5 lights, and they're out. And you can see the spray begins almost immediately. And it's always hectic in the wet going towards the first corner in Germany. Not a long run down to the line. Take a little bit of the inside curve there, just trying to avoid the melee on the outside. A slow moving Force India. Kimi Räikkönen to be pleased about that. And through the first corner, a little bit of contact around. For the most part, it's pretty clean. One guy goes for a coffee run out here on the outfield there. Hopefully he comes back with something good. And you can see that they're jostling quite a bit. This is a corner here, this hairpin, where I'll usually go offline and brake early. Look at that, guys sliding everywhere, and that's exactly it. The amount of times I've been just completely dive bombed and destroyed in that corner by trying to stay on the line and get the widest run through possible on the first lap is too many to count. Stay off that line, brake early, just let everybody else make those mistakes in the rain. Usually it's like street circuits and rainy races are sort of attrition races. If you wait long enough people will crash that you can make up positions. And you can see, even though we've started near the back, that we're already up to 6th place. Trying to move up on this, I think it's a Haas? Yeah. And the Force India has a little adventure behind us. So now down and around the last 2 corners here, the Haas gets a really good exit out of this final corner, so he gets a pretty good run down the straight and starts pulling away from us a little bit. We're just going to stick with this lap for a couple seconds longer to see the sort of a precursor of what's to come going into the hairpin here. So coming down the second straightaway, the second DRS zone, and into what is probably the most important corner of the course, just getting a good run out of there of utmost importance. You really want to try to make up ground. A bad exit there can really leave you a long way back, and it's also a hard complex to take while you're fighting with people. So now we're down towards the hairpin, and you can see things getting a little hairy ahead of us. A little bit of contact through there. These guys are pushing and shoving all over the place. So we're gonna jump ahead here to the next lap. And again, we're heading down the straightaway. Some more jostling going on at the front here. In the spray, it's really hard to see, but you can see a little bit of contact there and a little bit of a speed wobble, and he's off. And all of a sudden, when we get to the corner, we got 2 cars going backwards, one all the way to the outside, and we're up to P2. So that's basically the main highlight of that race. Just trying to make your way up in the wet. Like I said, be patient, let everybody else make the mistakes around you. Just try to keep the car on the driest possible line and really work around the corners in a smooth way. If you can avoid the crazy people all over the course, you'll probably do pretty well. So from here, we've sort of locked down second place, and we're not going to stick with this race for much longer. There's not too much that happens in the way of action. We're down around the last 2 corners here again, and trying to get a good run onto the straight. Taking a little too much curb there. That sausage on the outside will slow you down a little bit, and we could have taken a little bit more on the exit there. In the wet, those curbs get a little bit difficult to deal with. And now we're on the final lap, just heading down out of the hairpin again, trying to seal that second place off. You can see coming up through here, I really hoped that I'd be able to get a little bit more of a run on that Sauber out in first place, but he had pretty good pace, and after being stuck behind those other cars that had wiped out on the last, or on the third lap, it was difficult to make back that space. That corner, you can actually take a lot more speed than you'd think. You really have to kind of extend the track as much as possible, use a little bit of the inside curb and then use a lot of the outside on the exit, and you can really, not brake as much as you may think you have to. And again, more sausage curb on the outside than you want to take, but we've locked this one down. So next we're going to head to Monaco, and I'll talk you through the treacherous lap I had in qualifying. And this race is kind of a little different. It goes a bit of the other way, where the activity kind of happens a little more towards the end than the start. So here we are into Saint-Devat, a little bit of a weave there. We try to get a good run up here through Beau Rivage and into Massenet. It's going a little bit better at the start than it does throughout. So you're trying to carry as much speed as you can around Massenet and try to brake late for Casino if you can. It was a little bit too far off the apex there. Down to Mirabeau, trying to keep a steady turning radius around that outside, and then all the way down and try to get the power down as soon as you can out of what was Lowe's and is now, I guess, Hotel. No one really knows what it's called anymore. So we're heading through the tunnel here now. Yeah, a little bit too close for comfort there, and trying to brake a little late into Swimming Pool, or into the Nouveau Chicane, sorry. And now we're up towards Tabac. This is where our problems begin. That is not how you take that corner. Hit the wall again for good measure, and then through the actual swimming pool, down and again. So, scruffy. Way too much speed carried through the corners, trying to be a little bit too bold. And not a great pass through Anthony Nobes either. And I'm thinking, oh man, I just blew this. I'm going to be starting near the back on a track where track position is absolutely key, and also on a track where Saint-Devat claims usually like half the field, 3/4 of the field right off the bat. So we're on the grid now. Luckily, second place. Amazing. Don't know how that happened. Everyone else's time was like a 1:14, 1:15. Like, that's race pace. Here we give the Toro Rosso a little space. He doesn't slam us into the wall, so respect for that. Saint-Devat, I'll usually leave a little bit of a space for that car on the inside. The grid is so bunched up that they can usually get up alongside you, and if you try to turn across them, they're either going to drive you into the wall or you're going to knock them into the wall. It's just, usually that's the biggest problem, is that the front runners jostle like that, and then it takes out the entire pack behind them. Because if you're sideways and going up towards Beau Rivage, you're not going to be able to get around that car. And the ghosting in this game seems completely random at times. So we kind of fall into a rhythm here now, trying to chase down that Toro Rosso, take a little bit of a straight line through the Nouveau Chicane there. Not really the best way to take it, but like they say in this game, and in racing in real life, you got to find the fastest way around. I'll take a few warnings. Yeah, it's not absolutely the most gentlemanly way to do everything, but you got to get around there quick, especially if you're chasing someone down like this. All of the tenths, all of the hundredths matter, so you really want to maximize your pace. Every lap needs to count, and I think if it takes a little bit of sketchiness, it's worth it in the end to get the job done. So this is where the drama begins. We've skipped ahead to lap 3, coming around Portier, and there's a dusted vehicle right in the middle of the track. Both myself and the Toro Rosso did a really good job to get around that. I'm not sure if he was ghosted, but really, like I was saying earlier, you don't want to take the chance. So here we come upon what Into the Barrier would call a helpful noob, and I'm sure the guy in first and the guy in second would just call him a straight up noob. He's already taken the wing off the guy in first place. He just hit the guy in second. He brake checks me here. He is just an absolute wild card. So here I am thinking, that's my race, stuck behind this guy, and he goes ahead and buries himself in Rascasse. To be quite honest, I think he had found himself done with the race and wanted to take a trip up the ocean side in the south of France. But found himself in the wall instead. So now we're trying to catch up to the two in front. Luckily for us, they have massive wing damage, both of them. It becomes quite clear once we get to the more windy stretch of the track that they're really suffering on their aero. Look at how slow they are through these corners. It's really going poorly for them at this point. I'm going to try to get the Toro Rosso as soon as possible. Obviously, we're lap 4 now, so we don't really have the luxury of waiting a long time for them to bin it or pit or whatever they need to do. So I think
right here you can see me kind of lining them up. I'm thinking this is probably the best chance I have, and I actually think this might be one of my favorite overtakes that I've pulled off from the F1 2018 game. I think that was picture perfect. Another noob off to the side there, just completely wasting his race, hitting all the walls. And now we're trying to reel in first place. You can see he's hitting the wall, I'm hitting the wall, trying to draft off of him, and he's locking up a little bit, definitely hurting for downforce. Definitely had some major contact with the, we'll call him a gentleman in that Haas car, who's currently traveling up the south of France in the ocean side. Now we're going up towards Beau Rivage again. We're just trying to get this on the last lap, really trying to put the pressure on. There's more lapped cars coming up, and that's always bad news, so I'm trying to get past them before the lapped cars. Just not able to pull off the move in a place that makes sense. So we've got yellow flags. Oh no. Yeah, here we go. Complete wild card in action in a McLaren, just all over the plot. Here he comes down towards Portier, going into the tunnel section, and he actually looks like he decides to let first by without much of a hitch. But then I think he turned into me there. I don't know if he just didn't see me or what he was trying to prove, but here's where our big opportunity happens. How many times have I done that? It's so easy to clip the wall with the tire there. And he goes for a little spin, and at this point it's just go as quickly as you possibly can, drive as fast as you can towards the finish, and try to get this first place. I don't often win at Monaco. It's a very, very difficult course to drive, so just really forcing it towards the end. We have a red wing, so I know like it's super easy to put it off there if you're not paying attention. So there's the race win, and there's where we'll end the video. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed.